Wholesome and Wild, Folláin is Fiáin. Sacred Messages, Eolas, Naofa, a special podcast series with Kathleen Farren and Sandra Saradesi. Welcoming our guest, Annita Fischbach.
Welcome to Sacred Messages with our guest, Annita Fischbach. I'm Kathleen Farren, and Sandra and Saradesi and I are excited to bring you this sacred...
This giggly episode.
Okay, this is the giggly episode. And Annita has facilitated this for us because Annita works with children. She's already there. Annita is in the Netherlands and works as a nanny and is very familiar with Almeen's teachings. Both she and Sandra met 10 years ago now at a retreat with Almeen. And now this creme de la creme of tools and kits is being enjoyed by us all. So let's share together our experience of the new protocol, which is the Fountain of Plenitude, Phase 1. Sandra.
Honey, thank you so much. But you know, it's been few episodes that I wanted to talk about, explain a little bit, and this feels that's the right fit for now. Remember we talked about the name of your YouTube channel?
The name of the podcast would be Wholesome and Wild.
Yes. And what would you say is wholesome? And what would you say is wild?
Oh, wholesome and wild. And in Irish, it's Folláin is Fiáin. Wholesome, present, trusting, children.
Mm-hmm.
Whole body, whole being. And wild is true freedom. And wild. It's what happens to me when I walk through a field that hasn't been manicured, or when I'm on the beach. And nothing matters. You're not concerned what others might think or anything like that. So that's a little bit about what wholesome and wild is. It's what I aspire to.
Beautiful. I'm going to pass the mic to Annita to feel what she would like to add to these beautiful definitions that are on the final one, indeed, but let's try.
So you're asking me what I think of wholesomeness and wild.
Yes.
Yeah, running through the fields with sunflowers and all kinds of flowers. You know, not only the sunflowers, but the whole range of flowers, the wild flowers. And being wild and innocent and just running, enjoying the sun, your inner child, lightheartedness, living in the moment. Yeah. Just follow whatever, comes up and enjoy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Okay. Well, as I'm hearing you both, this is really delightful because we're steering each other's cauldron of inspiration. So wholesome is like, what Kathleen, you just said beautifully, is whole, is complete, is presence, it's everything, it's potential revealed, it's all the pieces are there. And there's no need to one area to have lack and the other have abundance, because everything is equally abundant. And when the question was propelling my heart, because I felt like there is a misunderstanding about wild and wholesome. There is not, people think about wholesome in terms of food and nutrition. They don't really think about wholesome is a way of life. And what these tools are bringing to us, the tools of the Fountain of Plenitude, are a wholesome life, not only in what you put in your mouth, what you put in your heart, what you put in your eyes, what you put in your ears, what you put in your touch, what you put with your outer senses that come from within, then you go out, and then it's this rotation, the inner and the outer. So it's really profound. And I love that you have the name of the podcast with these two beautiful words. And I'm feeling so much passion explaining about what is wild, because for me, wild, there are two ways of living. You can live wild, or you can live tamed. You can be tamed. And what is this taming implies? The taming implies suppression of your true essence. Wild is not about, for me, it's not about stepping on people's feelings or overly expressing ruthlessly, and I'm wild because I am free. It's actually, there's no need to proclaim that you're wild. You can be wild sitting in exactly in that chair reading one of those books behind you, Anita, and you're completely wild, because wild is calling you to essence. Wild means you are unprogrammed. Wild means that society is not going to tame you. Belief systems are not going to lower your voice, because your voice is your tone. And you don't need to flag to everybody, you're wild and you get everything you want. And I really feel good that we are touching about this, because we are elevating everything that was said before about wild, about wholesome. And it is using the language to really anchor a higher reality.
So it might be also that the feeling wild is autonomous, because you become an autonomous and sovereign being.
Yes.
Whatever is going on in the world right now, I just live my life. And who is there to tell me what to do and what not to do? Not referring to whatever the governments are telling you, It's, for me, it's living from the inside and being wild, just following my inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much an inner experience. I mean, the whole thing, everything you were saying, Sandra and Anita, it's it because it's your personal experience, and it's this inner sensation, So the words transformation and transmutation, so change, has come up for me in this conversation, and that's something I'd like to touch on. It might be a good idea right now, though, to hear, Anita, how you came across this, because I happen to know a mutual friend, mentioned it to you, and that's that's a pleasant way of hearing about it, through someone you know and someone who loves you. So, what was it that Charlotte said? She was so insistent that you do the protocol.
She said it was the joy she felt. She never felt that kind of joy from within, joy in having, in being herself. And that was for me something I longed to, because life is sometimes not light. Sometimes it's heavy, and responsibilities are high and pushing on your shoulders. And joy is something that makes life, for me, lighter, because you can look at life with more humor, maybe, instead of taking everything so serious.
Mm.
And then I used to hear my mother. She passed over in 2017, and she always said, don't forget to laugh in your life. You know, it's a game we play. You know, try to laugh some more. And that was for me the feeling I got from Charlotte when she talked about the Fountain of Plenitude. I saw her and I could feel she was a fountain, you know, of joy. And yeah, that was something I want too.
Yeah, and do you think the children, I don't know how old they are that you work with, but did others notice it in you, do you think? Or did you change, or how did,
I
you
don't
know?
know if outside people noticed it, but I noticed it in my outside, because people reacting different on me. Conversations were different. It became more light-hearted, more humor in it, not taking things too serious or personal. Yeah, I have children from 2.5 until 14. So that's a range of different ages.
Yeah.
So they have different questions. They have different stories. They have different issues. But instead of seeing it before as a burden sometimes, because they're not my children, and I am trying to show them to be happy, you know, because the parents don't take their own responsibility for the children because they have me, you know. I see now much clearer, and I see it as an inspiration, because every child is different. Every child has his own issues. And before I couldn't see, you know, it was like, oh, those are children, you know. Ooh. But now I can see it's becoming an inspiration to assist them.
As you're speaking, I'm getting an inspiration. So you were talking about wildflowers, field full of wildflowers, made me think about the blends, the fragrance alchemy oil blends. They're, a fusion or a harmonious fusion of alchemy of these different flowers. And they're placed on they have a specific job, so they're put on a specific location on your body, and their job is to clear distorted whatever, or bring on newness in different places. So it's kind of, people of course are like that, and that's part of the big shift that's happening in education and society and life at the moment, is that people are learning and remembering to value each other, and acknowledge each other. You have a job to do, and I love when you do your job, and I give you an opportunity to do it by employing you or by doing teamwork. Sandra's doing it with me right now, by two of us enjoying
Actually,
the same
it's
thing.
team play. Sorry, I'm going to step over. It's not teamwork, it's team play.
Yeah. Team play. You see, we're creating new phrases. Yeah, new phrases, and fluidly changing along the way. Yeah. So it's just I find that with Almeen's work the whole time, so much of it, and Anita Briggs placed it all together initially to get all this, which I'm grateful for, taking all the elements, placing them together and creating this. And then Sandra came along and created this Fountain of Plenitude, which has not only 1 but 5 levels, which are being created as the inspiration arrives. So it's very fresh, and that carries through when we sit at home and do this for 28 days, with the guidance. So I just applaud the wholeness of it. It is whole, and the closeness that we have with the flowers, with the particularly touching. you know, and that you apply it yourself. You place these in specific places. I mean, you know, the back of the head or the wrists or different or the heart area. So I've shared a wee bit about some of the things I loved about it. What about you now, Annita?
Um, what I loved about it was uh, it is a cauldron, you know. I felt it as a cauldron because it has all the different things together. You know, you can do Belvaspata, only Belvaspata. It's my experience. You can do the Cornish Belvaspata I have been doing for years every day. It brought me and it changed me and it changed my environment. But this was all the different tools together as a cauldron makes it so powerful that it's it's changed me completely in those 28 days. And the physical aspect, working with the Grosha heart, and I missed the video about how to use it, so I found out I did it all the way wrong. So I committed last night to myself that I started again for 28 days. I found a video on the internet how to do it, and so I do it all over again.
Yeah, I understand
And
that.
what I love about the physical aspect is the love it creates for your own being. You know, I'm a single for a very long time, and there isn't anybody who does like this, you know, or I like you. Yeah, the children, yeah, but those are not mine. You know, it's a difference. But the self-love it gives, it changed my skin completely. My skin is softer, and so for myself, it means the harshness for myself, what I had to the outer world, from the inside to the outer world, is gone. So that layer is completely gone. And that made my skin like, yeah, it's soft. It's not that harsh anymore. I had
About your hands? Yes, go.
I had my hands, you know, they started, my skin
Healing.
came in, yes, within my hands and till here, you know, the whole part, up this part. And I had some age spots, they're gone, you know. You can see them slightly, but they're going away, you know. And I go like, it's a miracle, you know. It's, yeah, it brings on the self-love. And then combining with those beautiful runes and the oils from the 12 meridians, the oils what we have for, you know, to put on when we do the facial and the shoulders. It's the whole package. It's so powerful, but in a subtle way. You don't walk into cataclysms. You know, things happen, and like I told you, the situation with that I didn't respond directly out of my rage or anger, you know, that I pulled myself back. Those are subtle things, what I noticed in myself. And I was walking in nature last week with my oldest son, and we were talking. And I noticed there wasn't any noise in the communication. I listened to him with my full being, and he listened to me in his full beingness. And I noticed as well that I felt switches, like switches. I was talking to him, and then I stopped and I waited. He started talking, and it switched over. And I thought, this is nothing what happens in the outside world. This is happening in my inner space. Otherwise, I couldn't feel the switch. It was like a switch, you know, switching from masculine, the switch over to feminine, without any noise between the communication. It was clear, yeah. And those were little things, subtle things that I picked up that I thought, this is, you know, it's a miracle, because the more and more I feel I'm responding, or I'm more and more into inner space. Also, when I do the light explosions in the morning and at night, it's something I came aware of as well. It's not happening when I visualize the people that I include. It's not outside there. It's here. It's inside. I can feel them inside. I can see the light explosion inside. Everything is inside of me. So I made a switch from outside to inside.
It is beautiful. And I mean, through the 3 Zoom calls that we have on the 28 days, I can see the shifting and our interaction, how the walls dropping, and that softness that you're speaking is also felt in the outer, because I felt it. And how beautiful. Please share with us about the little girl that you invited over to your place. Because for me, this is like the cherry on the top.
Yes.
To see in the 3D, because we talk about these incredible shifts that are subtle. And some of us understand that subtle it could be more powerful than evident.
Yes.
Evident, speaking about physical shift. So when we don't have words to explain, but we know this has been a shift, is very profound. But also we like to have the miracles in the physical. And, you know, so many things you share with me, and I can share something else, but please, I want to hear about this little girl. How long was she asking for the invitation?
She is the little girl. She's 4-year-old. And when her mama was pregnant, I those 9 months, you know, I walked next to her, and I was in the family, and so I grew into the pregnancy with her. And I told Mama before she was born, all the other children are blonde, light blonde, and I told her, Mama, I can see a little child with dark hair sitting at the table. And she said, "Wow," you know. And when Annabella was born, she was dark-haired. And that was funny, because you grow up with her, you know, and I spent more time with her than her own mama when she was baby and up till now. And she had been asking me, because I'm working not that much hours anymore in that family. So she misses me, and she was asking for about 2-3 months. When can I come with you and stay a night over and sleep in your big bed? And every time there was something else, because I had to do something else on Saturday, or there was on Friday something. So I, you know, and I didn't know if the parents would allow me to take her home, because normally it's not allowed, you know. Then I asked her mama, and her mama said, yes, it's okay. But still, it took a long time before, you know, there was the opening to really invite her and take her home. So that happened last week. And I said to her on Wednesday, I'm going to take you home to me on Friday. And she ran and got her jacket and had her shoes on. And when are we going to go? She said, you know, and I go like, oh my, you know, you have to sleep 2 more nights, because tomorrow you have to go to school and I'm not here. And, you know, it's not possible today. So, oh, she was crying, you know, and I go like, oh my, you know, poor thing. And then on Friday when I came, she had her suitcase ready. She did that all by herself. her pinky suitcase, her trolley. She put everything what she needed was in it. And she said, I'm glad you're here. And I have everything ready, Annita. And her dad said, well, she had it ready yesterday already, you know. And I go like, oh, what a sweetheart, you know. So she likes to drive in my car as well, because in her dad's car, she gets sick. So she loves driving in my car. And so I brought her home on Friday, and we made dinner together. She opened all the drawers and I wanted to see what was in it. And she slept, of course, in my big bed. And I had to shower her. And she walked around in my high heels because she isn't allowed from her mom to walk in her high heels. So I said, just go on, you know, whatever you like, put on, you know, you can take them home as well. No, they're too high, you know. It was so funny. And the next day we had breakfast together, and she's very she does everything herself, you know. I don't have to tell her you got to go brush your teeth, you know. She gets out of bed, she puts her slippers on, her unicorn slippers she puts on, and she walks to the bathroom. She starts brushing her teeth, and I'm done, she said. Are we gonna have breakfast? I go like, you know. She's my child, and I remember when she was little, and I had to give her bottle. I remember we always became one field. We sank into each other by I'm holding her and she having her bottle, you know. And she connected with my feeling. We always became one field. It was as a bliss, you know. So I always said, that's my child, you know. She's such a big part of my inner child. I feel, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
Kathleen, do you have anything to comment?
Did you see me getting touched by that? Yeah, when Annita described holding the child and feeding it, I remember that with my children, doing breastfeeding, and that sense of oneness with them. And just before that, you described the color light explosion meditation practice, which is an inclusive, you know, in your sphere of light, including whom you choose, or all beings, all life, and just how profound that is, and that we can access that, and that, yeah, valuing those in your company, like that's a very special relationship.
Yes.
And that it's so alive. I thought you were going to say, and then I brought out my oils and the child loved them.
No, you know what she didn't say, because probably it's my turn to add it, is that on the last day of the Fountain of Plenitude, that's when she said, I'm taking you on Friday. And she opened up to this whole experience of receiving fully, you know, the opening, the shedding, the all layers, and being vulnerable and being okay, like how Charlotte shared with you, the way you felt it, being perfectly okay with whom you are every moment. Mm-hmm. Self-love comes from self-acceptance. And you had huge major insights of, you know, we don't have to get into all the details, but things that have been playing out over and over got resolved on this 28 days. And you're much lighter. You don't have to think about it anymore. It's now it's on the shelf. It's okay. I understand better. I have a bigger understanding because your awareness is heightened, because you have cleared so many layers of those meridians, preventing you from getting the insight stuck Like I had a visual the other day. I was talking to Annita. We were talking about the protocol, and this is how we write it. I said, this is like mashed potatoes. Is people want to jump in on phase 2 without doing phase 1. It's gonna be like mashed potato. This is the visual I had. Because we need to clear those points. We need to clear the rivers. We need to be in the flow, in the fluidity, bringing the inner and the outer. Look how much you could feel the switch is your inner space and your outer space. It has gone so deep. You know, I had this insight the other day, like I threw a pebble in my inner and it was like going, it wasn't touching. It was like so profound.
Mhm.
And this is why we can have such richness of experiences. And we don't have to leave and go wild anywhere. We can be wild with our inner space.
Perfect.
So I am perpetually grateful for everything you share with me, Annita. And when I saw you on the last Zoom call, it was so majestic just seeing you sitting, the way you're sitting now, and how it came to me to tell you, if I may say, what has been the greatest gift I can see for you through this protocol is now you can sit with yourself.
Mhm.
And you said you had the same words earlier that day or the day before. So how could I possibly say exact? Because we're in this one field.
Mhm.
That's why. So beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The majesty has always been there. That's the amazing thing. The majesty, the who you are has always been there. So it's like there's this moment of actually I'm celebrating myself.
Mhm.
And it might not even show on the outside,
Yeah.
but it's like poised and elegant kind of.
Yes, I think I gifted myself with the best gift that I could give myself, by following those 28 days. Even that I didn't use my Wosha the right way, it did do many things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And like I said, I had twice the fairies visiting me, and I could feel them around me. And the first time was on the first day when I went to bed, and they told me the following. I just want to read it because I think it goes together with the children. Shine your light, bright light. We will be with you, flowering and helping you bloom. So that was such a beautiful message.
And you can repeat the protocol. And I'm not sure if I'm understanding because there is an actual video I created for each of the points. If you didn't receive it,
No,
I
I
will
didn't.
send it to you.
I did
Okay.
because I have been
Okay.
looking. Where is that video?
And you start on the left side, and you
Yes.
it guides you
I
which
will look
side.
for it. Okay.
Yes,
I will look for it. It's
that
made
would be nice.
for each point, so you can stop. And if you have a doubt of not, you don't have to watch the whole video to get to the point you want. So it is made like that. So I will send it to you along with the last meditation. And I trust that you enjoyed it.
I
was
enjoyed it very, very much. I fell asleep, and when I came out of my sleep, I was detoxing again because my nose was running. I was coughing. I'm still, but I said it's just detoxing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Just let it happen, and it's a cleaning up.
Yes.
And it means that you can access, your body can tell you more when there's the cleaning up is done. Then, because when you shared that lovely quote that the fairies shared with you, the hair on the back of my neck on the right hand side just fizzled and
Really?
stood up. It's like, when a true authentic thing happens, you can tell.
Yes.
So it's like expanding our abilities, our language abilities that aren't cognitive, they're physical. They're deeply in your heart in different places. I'm so grateful for that. It's a good time for it because not everything out there makes sense anymore.
No, I think it's also the good time because what Almin told us about the 13 minds coming together and fusing into 4. So when looking at the 12 meridians, you clean up those waters, and it's not only something from me, the physical and my personal life and my individuality, but it's because we are proxies for the cosmos. I felt this is the right timing as well because we're integrating those 4 minds instead of having 13. So when it's the big cauldron. So the individual is the small, is your cauldron, your individual cauldron and your healing process. But when you look at the big picture, what's going on in the cosmos and with changing those 13 minds into 4, it's a gigantic cosmic cauldron where we part of as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's hard to express that in earthly words. It's something. When I look in it with my inner vision, I see all those layers. They're all part of it. It's all part of the whole.
Micro, macro.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed. So, Anita, what would you say if you wanted to invite a very dear friend to join the protocol? So now you know what Charlotte told you. What would you say in your own words?
It brings you home to yourself. It's coming home, really coming home to yourself. In lightheartedness, in joy, and feeling loved by yourself, Yes.
Thank you. Self-sovereignty, the self-love, self-sovereignty.
Autonomy.
Yes, it's all present. Yes. This is part of the song of the self.
Yeah. It lifts you up from the strings where you were still connected to the matrix, whatever you call it. It lifts you above. You're not part of that reality anymore because you start living in a complete different reality, and nobody can harm you. Nobody, because you're coming more and more into your own power. So who can harm me?
Yes. This brings me to the Belvaspatal of harmlessness, the Misbah Terasat.
Mm-hmm.
This is also emphasized as part of the daily healing When life becomes harmless, then you can flourish. You don't have to be protecting yourself or defending a cause or thriving. You're just like navigating, floating in the calm waves of existence.
Can you tell me how vastness fits in here?
Vastness, well, you discover more clearly your vastness as we carve the hollows in our inner space by clearing the emotions we're plugging. We're not allowing the expression of the inner space. So the inner space, the outer space is all part of our vastness. It is the same. And the more we bring the unknown and the unknowable, and by integrating the subpersonalities, I am at ease in the unknowable, which is the warrior. This is like incredible. It's so profound. The assignments of each of the subpersonalities. So we are actually expanding the place, the limiting space where we used to confine ourselves.
So what
We
you're saying
become
is
that
the boundaries that were built from the dirty waters, they dissolve.
the boundaries. The warrior is not that there are no boundaries, they're healthy boundaries. They're fluid. There are no boundaries to protect. The boundaries to clarify what is functional and what is dysfunctional. So this is the boundaries. It's not like everything goes. No. It's not like everything goes. No. It's like, well, I don't need to explain it, but I feel that this conversation dishonor me. And you just have that feeling because your inner child is signaling. But if we override the signal of the inner child, we're going to be in a lot of pain. So is that connection of knowing when to take care of the child. And for me, this was one of the biggest shifts. My inner child became throwing less tantrums and less tantrums. My inner child felt safe. Much more. I saw the shift, like palpable situations. That's like my inner child wasn't seeking attention anymore, negative attention. So this was a big one for me on the protocol. And and then the other sublime, subtle and sublime shift. But for me, the inner child was a big one, especially because I have always thought I play an archetypal role with an inner child. And having my inner child come home, feel safe and feeling heard. And unlike you, I love working with children. I have worked with children. I have been a nanny when I left the corporate world, when I started doing, bringing Almin's teachings to the world. I couldn't go back to the corporate world. Almin told me, don't go back to the corporate world. So I thought, what can I do that inspires me and makes my heart sing? And I immediately thought, oh, I was so happy being a mom. I'm going to be a mom for other children. And this I did in a term of transition. Then I work in a Montessori school. I was teaching Almin's yogas. And it had bring me so much joy. And I needed to see all these children and understanding where is the dysfunctional. So the vastness, when we explore our inner, then we are allowing more and more depthness. And this is what we are, with the runes, we are carving the inner space because they are the inner senses. And the deeper our inner, the deeper our outer. It's just a dance. And then this becomes our vastness, the vastness of our being. And when we understand that our everything that we do impacts the whole.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that, oh my God, I'm having a traumatic moment myself here. Oh, I had this insight. Oh, I resolved this in my life. It's not, the more we take ourselves with reverence, the more power, inner power we have and more will be given. It's the same like if you have gratitude, more blessings you will receive.
Mm-hmm.
Everything increases what we focus on. So we're focusing on how our life in our little box changes everyone. So the more this is going to be translated into blessings, not only for our loved ones. I see how my children are blessed constantly. They live happily ever before and ever after. And just miracles happen to them. And, I don't have anybody pulling me because I don't pull anybody. Nobody calls me crying. They miss me. They don't miss me. When are you coming home, Mom? We need you. I get none of that. Nada. So that speaks about the work I'm doing. I was coaching somebody coming on the call, and she had the intention for the Bavaspata session that she wanted to resolve some part of the life of her partner. And I said, the more transparent you become, the more transparent he's going to be. You don't have to ask for anything. Everything you want, you give it to yourself and you give it to your partner. And that's how you will receive it. Without agenda, this is the word though.
Mm-hmm.
Kathleen, I'm giving it to you. I overextended myself. Thank you.
Oh, it's wonderful to hear you. I just, there's so many aspects, there's so many parts to it. The insights of harmlessness, the 12 of them, and the 12 ordinary meridians. I'm looking at some of the notes from the kit that you get. When you live them together, they cause the increase of serotonin.
Oh,
So it's
sweet.
almost like when the serotonin, the feel-good hormone,
Yes.
comes at the same time, the safety. So safety and serotonin come to mind. So the child feels safe, within, and then you feel this good hormone, good feeling. It's kind of a new start, a fresh new start to yourself. And any of the habits of getting things the way you want them in the way we've been conditioned, like, and having intentions that are light-hearted rather than I want it this way, so everything becomes more fluid, what I'm saying, and that putting words to things isn't all that easy because it's still fresh and new, but it's definitely a whole being experience that feels good.
Thanks.
And the other thing I
Wow.
noticed that the
Yes.
Urash Sattva Yoga from Almin is where a lot of the points that we're using come from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a very good
Yes.
foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. You nailed it brilliantly. I don't know, but some scientific compassionate mind enter into you and you said so much greatness. Thank you for putting everything together. The tones of harmlessness. Thank you, Kathleen. It was the serotonin. That was exactly what we needed to hear. Thank you. Wow. What a joy to be here. Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you. Yes.
Well, it's good for oneself and good for the earth. And so, yeah, I'm looking at the notes again from I think I got this kit from Anita Briggs, and she says that serotonin affects the frequency of the body, re-establishing the glad song of the self, not only for the person, but also by proxy for the earth. So, the small and the big.
Yes.
Wonderful.
I think we could talk all day about it, but I feel like we've come to a completion chatting with Annita. And Annita, any further insights? Like, would you consider doing any of this directly with children, or are you just happy that you're happy doing it? You know, like, have you introduced?
I'm happy doing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the oils, I bring the oils to my teenage children, and I think some of them like it, and my husband as well. And it's perfectly safe.
I never go out of my door without putting all my oils on,
Yeah.
And, I take it to my work, and sometimes I have the bottle of Forever Love. Is it Forever Love?
Forever New, the
Oh,
power
that
of
must be a
love.
new one. I love it. It's
Come on.
Forever New on the Power of Love.
The Power
But
of
you
Love.
created a new one. I love it.
I take that with me in my purse, just to have it with me for the frequency.
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Wonderful.
Very nice. Well, thank you, Sandra Saradesi, Annita Fischbach, and myself,
Kathleen
Kathleen.
O'Hara.
That's the
Farren.
one. Saying cheerio. And here's to more laughing and loving.
Ah,
Yeah. Bye all.
Thank you.
thank you so much.